Good morning. My name is Elizabeth DeWitt, and I am the President and CEO of the Florida Beverage Association. Florida Beverage Association's members include Coca-Cola Beverages Florida, PepsiCo, Keurig Dr. Pepper, Coca-Cola Bottling United, Buffalo Rock, and Pepsi Refreshment Services. As part of our ongoing commitment to reducing plastic waste, we've embarked on Every Bottle Back, a groundbreaking initiative to remind consumers that our bottles are 100% recyclable and are made to be remade. We're using less new plastic and investing in efforts to get our bottles back so we can make them into new bottles. I also have the honor to serve as the chair of the Florida Recycling Partnership Foundation, a 501c3 organization that provides education and research on the benefits of recycling. Our members consist of top Florida companies and associations with a mission to educate policymakers, business leaders, and the public on the importance of recycling and how to recycle right. We provide customized educational programs to businesses and associations across Florida to demonstrate best practices in recycling and how to implement sustainable solutions. As a part of our outreach, we work with universities on research projects. To date, we have published 2 studies on recycling, one focused on contamination rates at Florida's Material Recovering Facilities, or MRFs, and the second on the economics of current and future recycling programs in Florida. Both of these studies can be found on our website at flrecycling.org. Go check it out. Today's business recycling webinar is one of the many ways we help Floridians learn how to improve and increase recycling. Our speakers today will discuss the essentials of business recycling and provide actionable steps to create a more sustainable workplace. Today's speakers include Karen Moore and Chris Perry from the Florida Department of Environmental Protection, Amy Boyson of WM, Jonathan Bartos from Collier County, and Keena Corey, the Florida Recycling Partnership Foundation's Executive Director. So let's get started with Karen Moore. Hope you enjoy.
Good morning. My name is Karen Moore, and I am the manager of the recycling program for the Florida Department of Environmental Protection. On behalf of the department, I would like to welcome you to the Business Recycling webinar. The state of Florida has an aggressive recycling goal of 75% set by the Florida legislature. The statewide overall recycling rate, which includes renewable energy, in 2023 was 49%. Did you know that in 2023, Florida generated over 53 million tons of municipal solid waste? Of the waste generated, commercial waste made up over half of the waste. The good news is that our Florida businesses recycled almost 50% of that. During this webinar, Chris Perry will be sharing tips for designing a successful waste reduction and recycling program at your business. We hope this webinar highlights the importance of the sector's contribution in meeting our statewide recycling goal. Again, welcome to the webinar and thank you for joining us.
Good morning. My name is Amy Boyson and I'm the Senior Manager for Community Affairs for Waste Management in Florida. I'm excited for the opportunity to speak with you today about tools needed to implement an effective recycling program at your business. First, I would like to take a moment to provide an overview of waste management. WM is North America's leading provider of comprehensive environmental solutions with the largest disposal network and collection fleet. We are also the largest recycler in North America. In 2023, we managed 15.2 million tons of recyclables. Here in Florida, we operate 3 single-stream recycling facilities, and last year we processed 355,000 tons. By leveraging our infrastructure, scale, expertise, and world-class operations, we're focusing our strategy on 3 bold ambitions. Material is repurposed, energy is renewable, and communities are thriving. Now let's discuss how you can help. First, it's important to recycle right. WM has developed 3 simple rules to recycle more efficiently and help ensure that everything in your recycling bin finds a second place. Rule number 1, recycle bottles, cans, paper, and cardboard. Number 2, keep food and liquid out of your recycling. And number 3, no loose plastic bags, and no bag recyclables. So how do you create an effective recycling program at your business? WM has a few best practices to share. For the front of the house, space and convenience are important. Make it easy to recycle by placing trash and recycle bins next to each other. Ensure the container appearance is different. For example, green for recycling and gray for trash. Choose bins with ample surface area for clear, visible, instructional signage. And finally, lids are imperative as they restrict openings to deter contamination. In the back of the house, identify what recyclable items are generated at your business. As I mentioned earlier, focus on bottles, cans, paper, and cardboard. It's important to understand the definition of contamination, which is non-recyclable material or trash that ends up in the recycling stream. You want to right-size your containers. Ensure your dumpsters have enough capacity for all recycling and trash to prevent overflow between service days. Include recycling in standard employee training and build into new employee onboarding. Elect a champion to monitor the recycling and provide feedback to your team. And finally, recyclables and bags are considered contamination in recycling dumpsters. If lining bins is unavoidable, train employees to empty recycling from bags loosely into the dumpster. WM has a variety of recycling resources available at wm.com/recycleright. So you may be wondering, what happens to your recycling after your dumpster is serviced? Let's watch this brief video to see inside a recycling facility located in Salt Lake City.
We all know it's a good idea to recycle. But what happens to that aluminum can or all that paper after you put it in the recycling bin? Where does it go? What does it become in its second life? How does this water bottle become a backpack, jeans or shoes, or even a WM shirt? Let's find out. This is a material recovery facility, or a MRF, and this is where the real work of recycling begins. Here at the MRF, the WM trucks unload all their material onto what we call the tip floor. Next up, a trip to a massive conveyor belt that takes all this material to a pre-sort room. Here's where sorters work by hand to remove stuff that should not go into your curbside recycling bin. Stuff like batteries, plastic bags, Christmas lights, clothes, pretty much anything that can clog or break the MRF's equipment, or worse, hurt one of the employees. Now that we've minimized contaminants, the real sorting can begin. Cups, cans, containers, and bottles are separated from newspaper and other paper materials. Then comes the eddy current. This part is pretty cool. An electric current zaps the aluminum off the conveyor belt and into a metal-only stream. All these materials are separated and compacted into bales, like hay bales. Forklifts move the bales into a finished product area where they're inspected for quality. Once they get the thumbs up, these bales of metal, plastic, and paper are shipped around the country to different companies that'll give them a second life or turning them into new stuff. This process is all about creating this circular economy where everything is being reused and recycled so that less stuff ends up in the landfill. Last year, WM recycled 10 million tons of material across 103 facilities like this one across the country. That's amazing, but we can do even more, and you can help by recycling right.
I hope you enjoyed that video. A recycling facility really is a fascinating operation. I would like to note that is slightly outdated because, as I mentioned earlier, we did process 15.2 million tons of recycling last year. WM is investing for our future. By the year 2030, our goal is to recover 25 million tons of recyclable material per year. To achieve this goal, we are investing in our infrastructure company-wide, including two major projects right here in Florida. WM will break ground this year on an $80 million state-of-the-art recycling facility in Pembroke Pines. This facility will be built to process up to 60 tons per hour, which will result in a 75% increase in production of marketable recycling materials. We are also investing $18 million in new equipment and technology upgrades at our recycling facility located in Cocoa. We expect these upgrades to be complete in late August. Thank you again for the opportunity to speak to you today about recycling. I hope you learned something new. WM is available to help your business meet its sustainability goals, and I'll be available at the end of the webinar to answer any questions. Thank you.
Welcome to the Florida Department of Environmental Protection's webinar on designing a successful recycling program at your business. When looking to start a recycling program, the first step is selecting a recycling coordinator for your business that will manage the entire operation. This individual will be responsible for designing the program, selecting the hauler or arranging in-house transportation of material. They will also be facilitating education and outreach. Another important part of this step is tracking the progress of your program. Step 2 is to conduct a waste audit. You'll want to conduct a waste audit to identify items that can potentially be recycled or reused. This will also inform you as to which recyclables to collect or focus on. This also provides baseline data to calculate a recycling rate and document progress of a program. Step 3 is to set up a program that makes recycling easy and convenient. First thing you'll want to do is develop a waste map of locations within the building to recycle. Recycling bins should always be placed where the recyclables are generated. Should also use easily identifiable labeling on the receptacles. This will ensure less confusion. Also, a very important part of this step is co-locating your recycle bins with the trash bins. Studies have shown that recycling is greatly increased when trash bins and recycle bins are placed next to each other. Step 4, there are some things you'll want to consider when selecting a contractor or hauler. You should always consider whether single or dual stream is available. This is the separation generally of cardboard and paper from plastic bottles and cans. You'll also want to consider packaging waste and recycling services. Streamlining this process can sometimes make costs more manageable. Also, you'll want to know if containers are provided. This will ensure that if any containers are broken, they can be easily replaced at no expense to you. Also, check for the optimal service schedule. This way you can ensure that recyclables don't end up staying around or overflowing. You'll also want to understand your contract's contamination thresholds. This will help you avoid having a recyclable load be rejected by the hauler. Also, consider contract renewal options. You'll always want to know when your contract ends or if there are any options for that renewal. 5, you'll want to provide constant outreach and education encouraging employees to recycle. You can do this through signage in high traffic and common areas such as break rooms. Also, competitive goals to reward participation in your recycling program. Also, do's and don'ts that prevent contamination are very important. You'll also want to consider having a green team. Selecting someone within your organization to lead that green team is always a great opportunity. You'll also want to consider having regular announcements addressing participation or program updates. Step 6, monitor and track program efforts. through regular waste audits, determining recycling rates of common materials. You'll also want to consider adjustments to reduce contamination and ensure efficiency. Open communication with your service provider or hauler is also an important step in monitoring and tracking your program's success. Also, evaluating conditions of storage and staging areas is very important. Now let's consider some waste prevention efforts. The first aspect of waste prevention I want you to consider is reducing. Buy only what you need. By avoiding excessive purchasing practices, you can help create less waste. Set your copiers to print duplex instead of single-sided. This will save a lot of paper. Also, purchase products that use minimal or no packaging materials. You'll also want to consider purchasing products made with recycled content materials. Also, purchase products in bulk. Another creative aspect to waste prevention is offering a water bottle refilling station. Second aspect of waste prevention is reuse. Reusing extends the usefulness of products and their life cycle before disposal or recycling. Reusing corrugated moving boxes internally is a great way to prevent waste. Also, reuse office furniture and supplies, such as inter-office envelopes and file folders. Use durable rather than disposable towels, tablecloths, napkins, dishes, cups, and glasses. Also, you may want to consider using incoming package materials for outgoing shipments. The last aspect of waste prevention I'd like you to consider is donating. You can prevent waste by donating products or materials to charities or nonprofits. You can donate unwanted supplies to local schools or nonprofit organizations. Donate food scraps for use as animal feed. You can also donate unopened or unexpired non-perishable food to local food banks. Also, you can advertise surplus and reusable items through a commercial materials exchange, such as SWIX. Finally, here are some resources that you can use and stay informed. The U.S. Environmental Protection Agency has tools and resources for both procurement and program tracking at www.epa.gov. The Florida Department of Environmental Protection also offers a recycling recognition program for businesses reaching a 75% recycle rate. You can find it at www.floridadep.gov in the waste reduction section. My name is Chris Perry. I'm with Education and Outreach for the Waste Reduction and Recycling section at the Florida Department of Environmental Protection. I thank you for attending this webinar.
Hello, everybody. My name is Jonathan Bartos, and I'm one of the recycling coordinators for Collier County. And on behalf of Collier County, I want to thank, all the participants for being here, as well as all the organizations that came together to kind of set this whole webinar up. Chris, you did a very good job at explaining why education is important. What I do for Collier County is I educate the businesses. I do more than that, like we all do, but my sector is typically on the commercial side of it. So today we're going to talk about some of the business recycling best practices and benefits. So I'm going to go to the next slide. So what I'm here to discuss with you all today is how Collier County has an ordinance that requires any non-residential property to recycle. So we're going to discuss that in depth. We're going to get into why audits are very important for businesses and to assist them in recycling not just more, but also better. Our drop-off centers, which we offer to residents, but then also businesses can utilize them as well. And then we had the very small quantity generator program, which we'll get into with a lot of the hazardous type of material and things like that. And then also we have what's called a WRAP, which is our Waste Reduction Award Program, where we like to recognize those organizations that go a little bit above and beyond what is required. So let's get into it. So on this slide, we're going to discuss Collier County's recycling ordinance, which requires any non-residential property to recycle. So this isn't just for businesses, it's for temporary events, organizations, any sort of institution, facility that is not zoned as residential. And the reason why we do this is because in the past and also currently, we understand, industry-wide that these types of properties, they typically generate more waste. And so we want to make sure that all of it's not going to the landfill. We want to preserve that landfill airspace. So we had this ordinance in place, and it does require them to recycle, but that's also why we have these types of programs, that we have recycling specialists and stuff like that that go out and educate them and make sure that they actually do have some sort of recycling service set in place. We don't typically, or I should say this, even though we have a franchise agreement with our garbage hauler, the non-residential, they can shop around. We want them to be able to not just negotiate, but more so figure out the best type of service that they need. So when we go out there, sometimes they might not be, well educated and stuff like that on who they can use or what options are available for them. So we go out there and we'll, help them and assist them and stuff like that on, trying to get the best setup for them. So even though it's an ordinance that requires them to do that, we're here to help. We understand that, they got a lot going on, but I mean, when this ordinance was put into place, I feel like we came in and we helped the businesses, we helped the organizations, we helped the, temporary events, the nonprofits, we made sure that we were able to help them and make it as easy as possible. And when it comes down to like having an ordinance like this, you get a little bit of pushback, but I feel like because of the way that we approached it all, everyone's pretty happy about it and increased our recycling rate. It was a good thing. And I know that out of, all 67 counties in Florida, there's not a lot of, ordinances that require businesses to recycle. But personally, I saw it as a positive thing. And I feel like everybody within the community as well thinks that it's a very, very positive thing. So yeah. So in this slide, you're going to see the positive effects of doing a business audit. And during these business audits, we go out there, either it's a recycling specialist or recycling coordinator, we all kind of work together and we, go out, we like to educate the businesses. A lot of times they're actually really open to us letting them know what they should recycle and what they shouldn't. In this situation with this, it was a tiny business plaza. So there was 3 businesses there. One of them was a restaurant, one was a nail salon. I can't recall what the third one was. But when I went out there, everybody was just bagging the recyclables because it's easier for, the employees to bring them out. And when I go out there and I would speak to like the upper management, you'd be surprised that even though, they have to recycle because of the ordinance that I previously spoke about, they're actually really into it because they know that it's helping the environment, it's helping preserve, airspace at the landfill. And I would say, I think it was not even a week. It was like maybe 4 days. I went back out there and took a photo of like the progress, and they completely understood. They're like, all right, no more plastic bags, no more food waste, things like that. They just kind of did what they were supposed to do after I educated them. And you could see like, the before and after, like it does make a difference to go out and communicate and just engage with the businesses, in these like non-residential properties and things like that. It's honestly like fulfilling just to see the difference that it actually makes. And in the next slide, you're going to see how it could get kind of fun. So I don't know about you guys, but like I'm kind of like a big dog lover. So sometimes when you're out and you are doing audits and stuff, you engage with with the employees, and you also get to do cool things like play with the animals and the puppies and the cats. So even though you're going out there and you're on work time, you're on taxpayers' time, but you also get to enjoy these special like little things where not just the employees appreciate you, but I feel like low key the animals kind of appreciate that you're helping the planet. So I just wanted to kind of throw in like a photo like this just to kind of show you guys that even though when we're doing these audits and it's work, which it is, we also we get that feel good feeling, just like how when we can see the progress of how a business audit goes, we also get to pet puppies. So on this slide, we're going to talk about the recycling drop-off centers that we offer to not just our residents, but also the non-residential properties within Collier County. We offer this service because when you have an ordinance like I spoke about before, we don't want to cause any sort of stress or hardship on these businesses and stuff like that. So we want to offer a service where they can, bring their cardboard, their fluorescent lights, their hazardous material, things that are just, if they're willing to bring it to us and they don't want to have an actual recycling container, we're willing to take it. And we want to also just make sure that that stuff stays out of the landfill. So there's 5 convenient locations around Collier County, and they're strategically placed so that way, it's not too much of a drive for these businesses to actually bring the material there. It's just something that like we looked into, and we were like, hey, it's a better way to manage it, and it's a better way to just kind of make the business, or I should say non-residential property, a little bit more acceptable to being like, okay, let's go above and beyond and actually do our part and recycle right. And it's also kind of cool to have 5 beautiful locations around here that residents and businesses can bring stuff to. So I'm sure that a lot of you are aware, especially FDP, that there is a state statute that we have to offer for very small quantity generators. We have to offer a service for them to bring the hazardous waste to. So next to our landfill, we have a hazardous waste facility, and anyone that is generating less than 220 pounds of hazardous waste per month, or even less than 2.2 pounds of acute hazardous waste per month, they're able to bring that to us and get the rate that we pay for disposal. And also we have inspectors that go out. A lot of times you think hazardous waste and you think like these like wild businesses that are like producing like crazy chemicals and things like that, but I mean it can also be just like a hair salon that just has a lot of aerosol cans and things like that. So we just want to offer a service where we go out there, we educate them, and they're able to bring that stuff to us so that way we can properly dispose of it. A lot of hazardous material can start fires. That's a big issue. So it's just really important to go out there and be facey and interact with them and just make sure that everyone's doing it correctly. Another service, or maybe I should say like program that we offer, just to kind of motivate these businesses to go above and beyond and do a little bit more than what is just the requirement within the county, is we have a waste reduction award program called WRAP, and this is where we go out, like specifically me, and I think I'm wearing a similar outfit in the middle photo. We go out and we like to recognize the businesses and also multifamily communities and any sort of organization that is going a little bit above and beyond, or sometimes they're just going way above and beyond and they're like doing zero waste and stuff like that. So we like to just kind of recognize them and let them know that we appreciate everything that they do, and that once again we're here to help them. And it's kind of one of those feel-good programs where you get to see a smile on their face, and they get to see a smile on my face because I'm just proud of what they're doing. And it's funny because I've actually met like friends throughout this program where like they still text me and like we still talk. We have personal numbers just from, me educating them, giving them this award. So it's kind of like a really good like thing to do. And I definitely promote this type of program to any other counties and organizations. When you start rewarding people, it gives them butterflies. So yeah, that's another one of the programs that we do to help businesses recycle more, try to recognize them. So this kind of concludes like my part of the presentation, and obviously that's me, horrible photo of me, but it is what it is. And I'm Jonathan Bartos, and I appreciate everyone that's involved in this, everyone that's participating, everyone that helped coordinate it. I really appreciate you on behalf of Collier County, and thank you for having me. And hopefully, we at the Q&A at the end, or if you guys have any questions, just let me know what's up. I'll answer anything, and you could always email me. My contact information is down there. So if you have any questions or need help establishing any sort of programs that I discussed today, just please reach out. I'm here for all of you. Much love. All right, bye.
Good morning. My name is Jack Gorman. I'm the Director of Facility Operations here at the Lake House. And one of our goals with the company is to reduce our carbon footprint and sustainability. So with that, we're looking at our total recycling program. And what we decided to do is to hire a company to develop a project for us to look at all our data, take a site tour, see where we're using, what's going into our trash, and how we could reduce our carbon footprint or diversion rate from the landfill. So with that, this is the project summary from the company and what they provided for us. As we walked through the thing with the company, they actually came out to the property and emptied our trash from the different areas. So, and they sorted it by category. So as you can see in this photo, they took all the trash, emptied it on tables, sorted it, and then they estimated the waste that was going into the compactor by all the different areas. So as you can see from this little pie chart, we found that 57% of our waste was organic. So we're already doing some cardboard recycling, some oils and all. So we thought our next opportunity would be to come up with a good composting program. So with that, and again, this is the composting that they pulled out of the trash and then diverting the food waste to compost. The goal is to reduce the landfill by 30 to 60%. But you also see it's almost 50% of our waste on the day that we checked it. So with that, we implemented a compost program with O-Town Composting. And to date, we have removed 156,163 pounds of compost. So we are measuring a system, and we think we can even double that amount. So what happens now is O-Town Compost, they supplied us with 15 containers that we have throughout all our kitchens, and they do a pickup twice a week. So on Tuesdays and Fridays, they come pick up the 10 containers, give us clean ones, and we put them back. We also have a refrigerator on our loading dock, so all the composting is kept in a walk-in cooler, which actually keeps the area smelling good, so we don't have compost just laying out back in trash cans. So that's how we got started with the composting program. And right now, our goal is still to do the 50%. So if anybody has any questions, feel free to give me a call. My phone number and my email address is there. Again, O-Town Composting was a great help, and also the company that we used to come in and audit our trash, so we knew the percentage of compost that was going into the trash was helpful.
Good morning. My name is Kina Corey, and I'm the Executive Director for the Florida Recycling Partnership Foundation. As Liz mentioned earlier, we are a 501c3 organization with the mission to educate policymakers, business leaders, and the public about the benefits of recycling and how to recycle right. There are 3 R's in recycling: reduce your waste, reuse or repurpose items, and recycle items that can be recycled. I want to take a few minutes to talk about some of the interesting recycle programs some of our members have. You heard earlier that it's important to start small, and once you have a handle on it, grow your recycling program. That is exactly what Publix did. They started their recycling program back in the 1970s by working with the paper manufacturers to recycle cardboard. Well, they've done a great job of expanding their recycling program, and now it comes in a variety of items, including flexible plastics and foam. And they work with their customers too. In 2023, Publix has recycled more than 598 million pounds of cardboard, 25 million pounds of mixed plastics, and 10.5 million pounds of mixed paper, in addition to many other items. As a company, Publix has diverted more than 50% of their waste from their landfills and works to increase their recycling numbers each year. Plus, they've more than 150 million pounds of other materials, ranging from food waste to hard recycled materials, are diverted from the landfills. Each Publix store is equipped with storefront recycling bins for their customers to bring in their recyclable papers, foam, and flexible plastics. These materials make their way back to one of Publix's 10 return centers for further sorting and picked up by recyclers. We had an opportunity to see one of their return centers last year, and it was so interesting to see how all the materials are sorted, baled, and shipped to processors. The plastic material is made into plastic pellets, which are sold to manufacturers who use it to make new plastic bags, handheld shopping carts, garbage cans, flower pots, compost decking, benches, and more. Publix is currently working with their customers to reduce the use of plastic bags. Front service clerks are trained in proper bagging techniques and skipping the bag for bulky items or items with handles. They encourage the use of reuse bags through various campaigns and signage throughout the store, even in their parking lots. And they give back. Publix donates about 10 cents from every purchase of Publix reusable bags up to $250,000 annually to support sustainability projects that help our communities. Here are some great examples of how Publix is encouraging their customers about the importance of recycling. I just love these different and creative displays about how to promote recycling. Public sustainability efforts extends beyond recycling. They partner with nonprofit organizations on projects to protect, restore, and conserve the environment in the areas where they operate. Through these partnerships, they've been able to restore 2,400 acres of land and 290 million gallons of water each year. In April of this year, they hosted their inaugural Good Together environmental campaign, which allowed customers to make donations at the register to directly support projects focused on reforestation and coastal conservation. Check out all the great things Publix is doing on their website, csr.publix.com. You heard from Liz about the Florida Beverage Association's Every Bottle Back campaign. Well, I wanted to highlight another thinking outside the box idea. Coca-Cola Beverages Florida, also known as Coke Florida, has a great reuse for their syrup barrels. If you didn't know, the syrup used to manufacture beverages come in large barrels. Coke Florida is proud to team up with the many great organizations to provide rain barrel projects. A rain barrel is a system that collects and stores rainwater from a roof that would otherwise be diverted to storm drains and streams. The rain barrels are upcycled 35-gallon syrup concentrate drums donated by the local Coke Florida manufacturing facilities. An upcycled material is one that's repurposed to create a new product of equal or higher quality or value than the original. Coke Florida is happy to repurpose their syrup drums for rain barrel efforts and teach about the importance of water conservation and stormwater mitigation. According to the EPA, a rain barrel is estimated to conserve about 1,300 gallons of water each year. For 1,000 square foot roof space in just 1 inch of rain, one can collect about 600 gallons of water. So let's talk about another Florida company who's thinking outside the box, Anheuser-Busch. Their facility in Jacksonville operates 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, and produces approximately 8 million barrels of beer annually. That's including beer in cans, bottles, and draft. I'm sure that you think of Anheuser-Busch and you think, well, they'll recycle glass, cans, and cardboards, and you're correct. But let's look at some of the other materials used in the process of making their beer that has another life. Beechwood chips are used in the Anheuser-Busch famous beechwood aging process. Instead of discarding the used chips in a landfill, they are transformed into mulch for tree farming. Spent grains are dewatered and collected into silos. Once they're dried, they are sent to cattle ranches around Florida. Well, we have a lot of really happy cows. Yeast is used in their process and can be separated from the water going into the wastewater treatment. The alcohol is then distilled from it and sold to gas companies. Yeast is then dried and sold as cattle feed as well as to pet food manufacturers. Great reuse programs by Anheuser-Busch. Goodwill is the original recycler. The Florida Goodwill Association has 9 territories across the state, and they have been able to divert about 86,000 tons of material from landfills each year. They recycle electronics, furniture, books, clothing, and shoes. And the funds that they receive from the sale of these items help people with barriers to employment find meaningful jobs. For every dollar that's made from the sale of these items, 90 cents goes toward training and helping those in need. Now, Goodwill and Hillsborough County partner to divert waste with a new donation program. When people take items to a landfill, they have an opportunity to stop by the manned Goodwill trailer and donate the items that are still useful. If you have any items that you can't use, think about donating them to an organization like Goodwill. For example, Publix has donated shelves and display units to Goodwill stores, and Bealls has donated hangers and other items to them. Florida Power and Light has a corporate recycling and services facility called a CRS. We had a chance to visit the facility last year. At the CRS facility, FP&L gauges a 7-step process for assessment when an item reaches the end-of-use stage. We know about the 3 R's of recycling. Well, FP&L has 7: reuse, recondition, return, resell, reclaim, recycle, and remove. By using this process, nearly $5 million worth of hardware was reconditioned and redirected back into the inventory. Look at the savings. Look at your inventory and see what can be reused. Great recycling efforts by FP&L in 2023. They were able to recycle scrap and metal, e-waste, vegetation, wood, cardboard, mineral oil, and scrap poles. Now, ports do not seem like an entity that would do much recycling, but you'd be surprised. Since 2014, they have recycled enough scrap steel equivalent to 500,000 cars. They also recycle approximately 4,500 tons of plastic, cardboard, and aluminum each year. Cooking oil is converted into biofuels, and cruise lines recycle more waste per person than the average person on shore recycles each day. And for all those hard to recycle materials that you may have at your facility, we have another option for you: New Cycle Energy. They take that hard to recycle materials like fabrics, coated papers, wood materials, packaging materials, and polymer-based products and process them into fuel cubes. These environmental fuel cubes replace fossil fuels, and companies like Cemex use these EPA-approved fuel cubes instead of coal in their kilns. Now, Southern Waste Information Exchange, or commonly known as SWIX, is another great resource for you. They are a nonprofit clearinghouse for industry and municipalities on waste management issues. I call them the original matchmakers, as they are great at putting waste generators in touch with waste users. On their website, you'll find a waste map of Florida that will tell you where to find a local recycling center, different types of landfills, and tire processors. They also have a spot where you can let people know the type of materials you need to divert, or maybe you're looking for a specific item. Great information, so make sure you scan that QR code. We hope that you've enjoyed learning a little bit more about how to recycle and tips on how to recycle at your business. The Florida Recycling Partnership Foundation has a few more events this year. On Monday, August the 5th, nominations open for our Recycling Champion Award winners. Go to our website, www.flrecycling.org, for more information. On October 17th, we'll have an event with the Florida Panthers, that Stanley Cup champions. And on November the 15th is our signature event, Florida Recycles Day. It will be held again at the Patel College for Global Sustainability at the University of South Florida. The day will include great speakers and the presentation of Recycling Champion Award winners, as well as DEP Recycling Recognition Award winners. Again, we would like to thank our sponsors, Publix and WM. Thanks to their generosity, we were able to provide this webinar free of charge. So please let me know if you have any questions. It's time to hear from you. Let's get started with some questions. Good morning, everybody. That was really great. I think all of our speakers had some wonderful points that they got across to us today. Liz, with that Every Bottle Back program that they have, trying to make sure that they get every single plastic bottle back because their bottles are 100% recyclable. Karen, 49% recycling rate right now, and we know that we can do even more, but 53 million tons of municipal solid waste, that's incredible. But it's nice to hear that commercial is actually like half of it. Can you tell us a little bit more about how you gauge that, how you report that?
Hey, good morning, everyone. Each of our 67 counties report to us every year by April 1st, and they provide us that data that they collect within their county. Jonathan can probably give you a little more. Jonathan, I'm putting you on the spot there about how they collect their commercial recycling information.
Yeah, Jonathan, tell us about it.
So obviously, the residents, they do a really great job and we appreciate them for their recycling. But when it comes to the recycling rate report, the businesses have a very, very crucial impact on that. So when we're going out there and we're educating them because they might be manufacturing something or maybe processing something, that weight is kind of like a heavier, like weight-based type of goal. And it's just kind of one of the, you can kind of realize when you're out there and you're talking to them that they're the ones that are diverting most of the material from the landfill, and which is also helping our recycling rate. So yeah. And then also, Karen, you do a great job, and I appreciate everything from the state, from FDP. You guys are always so lovely to me. Whenever I have any questions to ask, you guys always are right there to help me out and assist me, which is why we're number 3 in the state right now.
Congratulations. Well, Jonathan, it seems like you have one of the best jobs. You get to play with puppies and kittens, and you get to help people learn with recycling. Tell me a little bit about those recycling centers, those drop-off centers. How do you determine where they go?
So typically, if someone, do you mean like the actual material when it gets, well, we have vendors that contract that will pick up who's, purchasing the cardboard, who's purchasing certain material. We're government, so there's a whole process they have to go through to be the vendor that services it and picks it up. But how we determined the material that we allow from the businesses would just be typically all the material that we don't want in the landfill.
Right.
So yeah, and then for residents, it's a lot of the materials free for them to drop off. And then with businesses, there might be a small fee, we maybe okay, so daily, they're allowed to drop off, 5 fluorescent bulbs, but then after that, it's $1 a bulb after. So, we're trying to offset, what we're doing when it comes to cost-wise, but then also providing a service that is going to, make Collier County one of the best places to live, work, and play.
I love it. I love it. Let's go back to Amy. So Amy, I think you really said it very well. If anybody thinks that recycling is dead, they've got something, to think about, because WM is investing, what is it, $80 million in South Florida? That's going to be the largest recycling center in the Southeast. Am I right on that?
That's correct. Yeah, we're very excited about our facilities, and as I mentioned, the one in Cocoa is going to reopen at the end of August, and the one in Pembroke Pines will be sometime. We're going to do a groundbreaking later this year, but recycling is definitely not dead, and we encourage everyone to recycle, and obviously to recycle right.
Perfect. And that link for recycling on your website, can you tell us that link one more time?
Sure, you can just go to wm.com/recycle right. There's a ton of resources, videos that you can watch, resources that you can download. So I highly encourage everyone to visit that link.
There's actually examples of signage that you can put on the different containers, correct?
Absolutely.
So it'll show this is trash, what needs to go to the, do you call it trash, or do you say this goes to the landfill? And then on yours.
Yeah, so I feel like we've kind of changed the words now. We call it trash. We definitely do call it a landfill. But trash and garbage, I mean, they can be used the same, but yes.
Perfect. I loved your 3 rules though. Thinking, small. Get those common items that you'll see in your office, those bottles, those cans, paper and cardboard. Those are like really important materials to collect and easy for you to start. And then especially about the no food and no liquid in there, because that can really mess up a whole load, as you know. And then don't bag your recyclables. A lot of people will say, well, Kina, why can't I bag my recyclables in plastic? Why can't they?
So our recycling facility can't process a plastic bag. So in that video you may have seen, it's what we call a star screen. And those plastic bags will get wrapped up in those star screens. And if that happens, then they can't do their proper job. And we actually have to shut down the entire facility and have people manually cut those plastic bags out. So you can take them back to Publix, but please don't put them in your curbside recycling or your
Wow.
commercial.
Well, I love it. Chris, I loved your information that you had, especially about a waste map. Tell us a little bit what you're thinking when you tell somebody create a waste map within your company.
Sure. Thank you, Kina. I think waste maps are important because, whether you have a single building or multiple buildings or a campus, in fact, for any type of business, you're always going to kind of measure the flow of the traffic. And I think that understanding whether you have common areas where employees might gather to either commune, a meeting, a boardroom, a common area such as a break room or a cafeteria. I think creating a waste map really gives you a better idea of which recyclables and how they fill up, how quickly they need to be serviced, whether you need to possibly have a secondary area where you would bring these recyclables to stage them, to take them to the larger receptacles that are generally located outside. So I think having a map that just really informs all stakeholders within the company of what your intentions are, because that really gives everyone an idea of, if you have certain areas where that are dedicated strictly to paper and cardboard or to cans and bottles, it's really kind of important to make sure people know where to go. So that's what that waste map is generally.
That's perfect. And then also you talked about the co-location of bins.
Yeah, that's another one that, like I said, studies. It's really just amazing that almost even 12 inches away from a waste can create contamination in a recycling bin. So really having them right next to each other. That's why a lot of the trend now and a lot of the manufacturers who are creating these bins for business recycling are actually melding the two, so that you can have them both in one container. And I think that, another thing that really helps is having the actual opening for the container smaller so that you can actually see it and put those through.
There we go.
Did
Sorry
you
about
lose
that.
me?
I think it was my fault. So
It's okay. Just talking about how the opening to the container can really dictate really as well as co-location to reducing contamination within your recycling.
Exactly. Yeah, I like that lid part. Sometimes though, you'll see people try to force something else in that hole and you're just going, what are you thinking? What are you thinking?
Right.
We actually saw that on our state capitol. We had specialized recycling containers put there, and we were watching people. It just said bottles and cans on it, and you'd see people rolling up and smooshing up paper and pushing it in there, or they're taking their McDonald's bag. I don't mean back on McDonald's, but a restaurant bag. Once again, scrunching it up and shoving it in there, and you're just going, "What are you thinking? What are you thinking?" Let's see here. Who else? Oh, I was going to talk. Jack could not be with us this afternoon. He's actually traveling today. Hopefully he's hearing. But to me, it was fascinating that when they did their waste audit, they decided that organics was the biggest part of theirs. And so they reached out to a local composter and figured it out. But to just this past year, 156,163 pounds of food waste diverted. That was fabulous. And then all the environmental issues that it helped. And so that was a great one too. And he has the goal of 50%. That lake house is a training center for companies like Hyatt. So Hyatt will train their employees at Lake House, and some other companies do the same thing. It's a KPMG property, and I really want to go and see that one of these days. Let's see here. What else do we have as far as questions go? We had somebody let us know that Sherlock on the cart can help eliminate contamination as well. It was interesting as far as the liquid goes. Let me show you something real fast. Because I got this just this week, but this is from Rarick Pacific and it's got the holes in it. So it makes people think twice about throwing anything with liquid in it. So I thought that was kind of cool. And you can always check and see how much stuff is in there. So people are getting really creative of containers for recycling. Do we have any final thoughts? Oh, let's hear. Are there any plans for organic recycling in Florida? Any organic companies coming in? Karen, do you want to talk about that?
We do have quite a few of organics recyclers in the state. We do have quite a few composters, true composting facilities, and yard waste mulchers throughout the state. You can find a list of those facilities on our forest website. It's floridaforest.org, and you can go to a map that will show you the location of every type of facility that we have in Florida and what they will actually accept. And I'll put that in the chat for everyone as well.
Perfect. All right. Any other questions as we start to wrap up? My speakers, anybody have a closing comment that you go, gee, I just wish I had put this in my presentation. Here's your opportunity. Amy, I'll start with Amy. So Amy, any last comments?
Thank you for joining today. Like I said, I hope you all learned something new. We really strive to encourage you to recycle right. Contamination is a thing. And if you just focus on those key items, plastic bottles, cans, cardboard and paper, start small, see what's at your office and what people are bringing in, and then start small and grow from there. But we just encourage everyone to recycle. Our new facilities, we're super excited about them, but we need that material to keep coming in. So we need help from all the businesses out across Florida.
Thanks. Jonathan?
Yeah, I just want to once again, thank everyone that participated in this. Hopefully they took away some knowledge from it. And then if anybody has any questions, I'm sure that obviously this is going to be recorded so they can look up our contact and information. I do have one personal question to kind of make it fun. What's up with all the footballs behind you, Kenya? What's
I was actually on team selection committee for the Blockbuster Bowl, CarQuest Bowl, many moons ago, and awesome. I'm the first woman to actually be the chair of a postseason college football game, and it was the CarQuest Bowl back in 1995. So I love my footballs. And as you can see, I've got recycling containers all over too that people send me that I.
That's awesome. That's awesome. But yeah, thank you everybody. I appreciate everyone that helped organize this and everyone that also just participated. So thank you all.
Thanks. Chris, what about you? I loved all the information you gave, though. You gave a plan. And like we said, we'll have all of this on the website for you shortly, and we'll send you all a link to it. But I love the plan. Oops, Mike.
I see it. Great. No, I had a great time. I just want to thank everyone for allowing us to participate. I think from the state perspective, just before I go, we do have a new Take Charge Florida Battery campaign that if you're a business and you want to inform your employees about just safe practices to keep those batteries out of the recycling bin, which is a very big deal. It is the Take Charge Florida. We adopted that from South Carolina's program, and it's newly out. We haven't had a lot of press about it, but it's available on our website at floridadep.gov, and you can just type in Take Charge Florida. It'll take you. We've got a lot of great collateral material stuff you can download, customize for either your business or your municipality, and have at it and feel free to use that information how you like.
Wonderful. And we may talk more about that because I think that's something that our members are interested in getting the word out about batteries. I don't think a lot of people realize that you're not supposed to throw your batteries into the trash can or your recycling bin. So we'll talk later for sure. Well, our time is up. I just really want to thank everybody. Like we said, our next event, it's a tentative event, but it'll be down with the Florida Panthers. And we'll be looking at their stadium and all their sustainability and recycling efforts down there. And then on November the 15th, we'll be back at the University of South Florida's Patel College for Global Sustainability. That's our signature event that we've done every year for the last 10, 11 years with the Florida Department of Environmental Protection. We love working with them. We'll have our Recycling Champion Award winners announced then. DEP will announce their Recycling Recognition Award winners. A lot of great speakers, a good time for all. But I just want to thank everybody for being here again today. And we hope that you have a wonderful weekend. Bye, everybody.